A boy I knew was unalived after extreme abuse. Do you ever sometimes remember something random from your childhood? Something that you feel like you should remember because it was really fucked up, but you were probably too young to grasp the gravity of the situation, so it didn't fully impact you? If not, you're lucky. But sometimes randomly, I recall a little boy that moved into a home a couple of houses down from me. I was probably around 7 years old. The boy lived with his mother and her boyfriend, who moved to my area to play professional football. My brother and I were frequently outside, and there weren't many kids in our neighborhood. So when we met E, we were happy to have another playmate. He was younger than us, but from the news stories, I found out he was 4. I remember when we first met, one of the first things his mom's boyfriend, let's call him Jay, mentioned that he was a professional football player. I remember thinking it was so cool and equating it to being in the presence of a celebrity. When we went to play with E, Jay liked to flaunt all of the cool toys E had. The most memorable toy was a go-kart. I was jealous as my brother and I grew up in a single-parent household. We fortunately had everything we needed, but not everything we wanted. Whenever we'd ask Jay to play with E's toys, he would take joy in telling us no, and would take pleasure in watching us look at E with jealousy. It seems strange, but I think he knew we didn't have as much. And looking back, it feels like he purposely showed us all of these things just to deny them to us. When we first met E, my brother and I had just started karate lessons, mainly because the karate school had an after-school program. We mentioned to E that we were being taught how to kick, punch, and fight in general. Jay wanted to see how I would match against E, so he told us to fight. Remember that we are just 7 and 4 years old, so it's odd that an adult would tell children of this age to engage in a harmful activity. As a 31-year-old, I can't imagine ever suggesting to children to fight. E was stronger than me. I am a girl, despite his age, so I ended up on the ground. I vividly remember Jay standing over us when I was on the ground, and he told E to choke me. E was 4, so of course he listened. I remember this child choking me as I was struggling while Jay smirked above us with a malicious glint in his eye. I remember feeling helpless and scared, and looking back now, I feel violated and disturbed that I was in this situation. Quite literally, a grown-ass man was standing over a little girl on the floor getting choked out because he told a child to do that, and he smirked as I helplessly struggled. I don't remember telling my mom about this, but I wish I had, because maybe it would have saved E's life. Shortly after this, E died. I don't recall how I found out, but I know I was upset because I told my teacher about it and had to spend a day with the child psychologist at school. A lot is hazy about his whole situation, but I remember seeing in newspaper, perhaps when I was a few years older, that E died as a result of child abuse and that his mom and Jay were convicted and went to prison. I cut it out and saved it, but I don't have it to this day. A few years ago, I recalled this whole ordeal and went on Google. I remembered E's and Jay's full name and searched it. What came up was horrifying, and I feel so sorry for E and the amount of abuse he endured in his short life. His cause of death was blunt force trauma, but the articles wrote about how he subjected to horrific punishments, such as being whipped with belts and electrical wires. They covered him with water and forced him to stand in front of fan. They also would put water in a freezer and put him in there. They found handprints in the freezer. When the cops came after E's death, they found marks in the wall from the belts and electrical wires. It's fucking horrifying and evil. And to think it was happened a few houses down from me and we had no idea. The mom and boyfriend turned on each other at the trial. She said Jay was physically and emotionally abusive. He beat her, but the thing that attested to his evilness was where he covered her in gasoline, lit a match, and asked what she would do if he dropped it. He obviously said she was to blame, and even warned the hospital a month prior that she was abusing her child. They were both definitely told blame. Even if one did most of the physical abuse, the other let it happen. As a result, this boy died at the age of 4. E's mom got 7 years and Jay got 10, but I'm not sure if they actually served their entire sentence. They both are out of prison now and living in society. I think the mom went on to have another child. It's not often I think about this, but when it comes up, I get really sad and disturbed. Mostly for E, but also I can't shake the uncomfortable memory of Jay telling E to choke me out and enjoying it. Because Jay was a football player and all of that, a lot of the articles mention his career. There was a lot of testimony to his upstanding character and how they could never imagine he'd be involved in anything like this. But based on what I remember, this guy was a monster and hid it well. I hope they are both having miserable fucking lives and feel horrible every single day they wake up knowing they had a part in killing a 4-year-old child. This world can truly be a fucked up place. What do you guys think? Let's discuss in the comments. Follow and like for more stories.